Hi all, welcome to part 7 module 6 computer networks. We are continuing our discussion on TCP, particularly TCP header, and few fields were covered already. Now let's continue with the remaining fields. So hope you remember, so we seen that port number in detail and the sequence number, acknowledgement number. These three fields we seen in detail in our previous video lecture. Now let's continue our discussion starting from these fields. So first we will see about the flags, right? 6 flags and their purpose. Then we will see the header length field, window size, the checksum field, and the urgent pointer field. Options also, right? So let's continue. So the flags is a very large list, right? So we have some 6 flags were there, and what are all their purpose? Let's see. So if you look at the first flag, that is an urgent flag. So let me tell you the scenario where we are considering something as urgent, in the sense maybe due to some purpose you start sending something, and out of them you observed that the current data which you are trying to send is something more important than what are all the things which are already sent. For example, you may send some files, right? So you are doing some file transfer, and in between you quickly understood that some of the files you already started sending is sensitive, right? Sensitive in the sense may contain some sensitive information, and mistakenly you just send it. So before reaching it at the receiver side, you want to stop it. So that is some I'm just giving an example only. And immediately what you will do, you will try to break the connection, or you will try to stop transferring, something like that. But you know, in the network already those packets started sending, and on back of that we have the control message which is saying to terminate the connection. But the control message should be given some priority over the other one. Then only it can reach the receiver side first, and it will terminate the connection, so that the receiver will not be receiving the particular file which is mistakenly sent by you. So that is a situation, some like that you can imagine, or some different scenario also. So the situation is like something which you are sending right now, it should be given some higher preference, right? So on the way, the network routers, they will be the IP layer, we have that priority field, and that you can in that type of service, inside that some few fields were used to set the priority of this particular packet, something we already seen when we discussed that IP header. And when transfer layer is setting some data to be urgent, and it is keeping that urgent flag on, and that time the network layer will try to give its higher priority by making its priority high. So this is the way it will be handled typically. But it is something maybe if you keep on giving such a permission to every user, everybody, people may misuse it. So it's something used in a critical situation only, maybe for the at the network administrator level and all. So anyways, that is the thing. And we have a field also in that header, I hope you remember. And this urgent pointer and urgent flag, they are working together in the sense, whenever we have this urgent pointer field active, urgent flag will be 1. So by seeing that, so what is the content of urgent pointer field? So that is a kind of offset with respect to the first byte relatively to what distance the one data which is urgent is residing in that particular segment, something like that. So once you start sending something, the important data is actually now on somewhat at the end of the other data, right? So you want to give some preference to this part of the communication, or at the receiver side, as soon as it's received at the receiver side, this the data being pointed by the urgent pointer should be immediately delivered to the higher layer. So that is your requirement. So you have to locate like to what distance or to what offset that particular urgent data is residing. It's handled in a different ways also. So this is how people started thinking about dealing with urgent data, right? So such relative offset of the urgent data will be mentioned here, and if the field is active, or whether the particular segment contains urgent data, urgent flag will be turned on. So that about urgent flag. And acknowledgement flag is something familiar for you, right? If the Acknowledgement number field is valid. We already seen top, we have the sequence source port, destination port, then sequence number field and acknowledgement number field. Acknowledgement number field will be containing an acknowledgement number, provided that particular segment is trying to give some kind of acknowledgement information back to the sender, and it can send an acknowledgement packet independently, or the actual data packet can convey also the acknowledgement of the previous data received at the receiver side. So that is by a process called piggybacking, right? Something we already seen. So that time, if the acknowledgement number field is valid, acknowledgement flag will be 1. So with that, anyone can understand that this particular segment is containing some acknowledgement information also, of course, for the previously received data by that particular one who is sending it. So this is this bit is said to indicate that the acknowledgement number field in this particular packet is valid. That's all. Otherwise you don't have to consider it. Then another one is push, like urgent. This is again another is for dealing with the different scenarios. So you know, most of the cases the segment size and all, you know, so what the machine will be doing, the transport layer entity at your sender side will be waiting for a complete segment. So it will keep on accumulating the data. Once it is getting something of segment size and all, we already seen how we will determine. It will be asking with the network layer and the data link layer, and it will come up with the value that is minimum that both this network layer and data link layer can handle. So in that way it will set the maximum segment size, but still it will start sending the data only after it get enough data of size, that maximum segment size. Otherwise, you know, it's a wastage, right? Simply whenever it is higher layer is giving you some data, you are simply sending it. You have to attach all these header and all, so that is going to be a very tedious process. To avoid that, it will keep waiting. So otherwise, you know, in why it has to do so, there is another scenario called the silly window syndrome. So you can read this topic. It's again interesting one, silly window syndrome, right? It's occurring in different scenario. Simply we will we can understand it like that. If the receiver is saying that this window size is of say 1 byte something, sometimes we are forced to send some small data size. So for sending that 1 byte of data, you have to attach some 20 byte of TCP header minimum, and another 20 byte of IP header, and some 18 bytes something of or around 20, whatever it is. Okay, let me approximate 20 byte of data link layer frame. So totally some 61 bytes you are sending, and out of them just 1 byte is actually the data, right? So it's just wastage of efficiency, something like that. Sometimes you are forced to do this. So maybe the window is communicating, the receiver is saying that it has only 1 byte data. So so there are different ways of dealing with it. It's again a very vast topic. It's very nice and interesting. You can read it, you will get more into it. So but now I have to explain you what is the role of push flag. So this is again a different scenario, you know. Okay, it's very good to wait until it's getting on maximum segment size and it can send the data. But what about the interactive applications, say internet chat and all, right? So, so how those applications were working? For example, the WhatsApp communication and all, whenever you are sending some hi, hello, and this individual piece of information should be delivered fast, right? So otherwise you imagine that you start sending something and the receiver is getting all of them together. In that way it will be delivered. So the thing is that whenever this push flag is 1, in the sense the application is asking you maybe some interactive chatting application, or that kind of an application is running on top of the TCP, and it is requesting TCP, you please don't wait for the entire segment to fill. As soon as I am giving you something, you please push it. So that is a meaning. So such special data should be pushed immediately at the receiver side also. A receiver also may be trying to optimize things. So when a receiver is getting say some few bytes of data, it may be waiting for some more data, and it may try to together deliver to the application. But the requirement is different, because our application is some instant messaging kind of application. We don't want it, right? So from the application layer, it will communicate to the transport layer about its need, because like I am an instant messaging application, I don't want you to wait for a complete segment. assignment. As soon as I am giving you something, you please deliver to the receiver. So in that case, the transport layer will indicate that the particular segment is containing some pushed data by turning that push flag 1, and as soon as it is reaching at the receiver side, by looking at the push flag 1, the receiver is again without waiting for further bytes, it will push that data to the higher layer, so that you are getting that smooth communication, right? So that is a role, but in normal communication it is not that way. So this bit indicates that it contains some say pushed data. The receiver is requested to deliver the data to the application upon arrival and not buffer it at all, right? So until a full buffer is reached. So that is actually done for the optimization part, but we don't want it. So that is where we are turning on the push flag. And this RST, SYN, FIN, they are all dealing with the connection management. Particularly for establishing a connection, we are using SYN in the sense synchronize. That is what shorten as SYN flag. And for finalize a connection, right, when you want to do the disconnection, that time some packets will be communicated, and those packets, the FIN bit will be 1, FIN flag will be 1, and RST, the restart. So in between you want to restart the connection. Again, scenario you can read why it is so. Right, so sometimes you want to restart the previous connection, and that time you can make use of the RST flag 1. So RST is used to reset a connection that is already established, so that has become confused due to the host crash or some other reason. So just reset so that the parameters will be communicated and both can understand about the connection nicely. SYN, this bit is used to establish a connection, so right, so the connection request, it's a three-way handshake process we are using. So whenever the sender will request for a connection with the other party, so that is the first packet, and that time SYN bit will be 1. So SYN is equal to 1, especially for connection establishment packets. So three-way handshake, those 3 packets will be having SYN bit 1. And for the very first communication, it is not conveying anything like acknowledgement, so the acknowledgement flag will be 0. Now as soon as the other party is receiving the connection request, he will be sending back the connection reply as the second packet of the three-way handshake, and that time SYN will be 1. Again, it's indicating that it's related to connection establishment phase, and acknowledgement is 1 because it's a reply message, right? And again, to this message, one more message will be sent by the sender. So that is how the connection is established. So during that connection establishment, the special packets will be having the value SYN 1. So it is actually trying to convey something different, in the sense, initially the sender and the receiver, before starting the communication, they will establish the connection, and that time they are supposed to synchronize each other with certain parameters. So something like I told you something in the previously, like about the initial random sequence number. The sequence number, why it is to be randomly chosen, that is something given as an exercise for you. You can find it. But yes, what is that initial random number? If the initial random sequence number, the sequence number is not starting from 0, to what value it is starting, that is to be known to both parties, right? So that is something communicated during the connection establishment phase with this connection establishment special packets, and also the buffer size of the sender. Like that, many things will be communicated during this time. So by this, the synchronization will be some kind of, the sender and receiver will be synchronized to each other, and they will start the actual data transfer. So that is why it's given the name SYN flag. And similarly, once you want to finalize your connections, this bit is used to release a connection. So that is a FIN bit stands for finalize. It specifies that the sender has no more fresh data to transmit. However, it will retransmit maybe so right now I want to stop the connection, but some of the previously communicated data may be lost or delayed, and that time I am ready to retransmit them, and also I am ready to continue those things which are sent to me by the other party. But after that I will terminate everything. So even after trying to release connection, it may wait for some small time for taking care of all this retransmission and receiving of the data which are already in transit. So that is that about this. So it's typically a four-way handshake, like, so as it's a full duplex connection from the sender to the receiver. From say A and B are having this TCP connection, A will communicate to B, I want to finalize connection, B will say yes, B will acknowledgement. Similarly, B will communicate to A, I want to terminate this particular other part of the connection, and A will say yes. So in that way it will go for some 4 steps. So we but this 3-way handshake connection establishment is more popular. In a similar way, this 4-way handshake, but most of the 4 steps exactly is not needed. Some of them you can merge also, right? So that is the thing. So that about the flags. Oh, I meant something is given, so let's clear the screen. So since the SYN and the FIN packets have to be acknowledged, they must have a sequence number. So whether it is a connection establishment packet or it is a finalize and release packet, they are expected to get an acknowledgement back, right? So we should give them sequence number. Something you can keep in mind. You may be thinking that why you have to waste our sequence number for this special SYN or the FIN packets. So why don't we give it to the data packets? The answer is no, because we want to acknowledge them also. So acknowledgement number is typically given with respect to the last sequence number plus 1. So we will typically give a sequence number to the SYN as well as the FIN packets also, right? Even though they are not containing any data. That about it. So that again, I request you to go through the connection establishment, that 3-way handshake procedure, as well as a terminate thing. So there are many things, many details, minute details were there, and it's very interesting to read if you have, but I'm just sticking on with the syllabus. That is why I'm not going that much detail. Now the header length and the window size field, something you already know. The header length field, the same way, same procedure that we did in the IP header, IPv4 header, the thing you can see here. Also we are grouping, or the header, actual header, some 4-bit field, right? So you have to scale down, or every 32-bit words you group, and how many such words are there, accordingly mention the header length field. So or the actual header length divided by 4 if you are taking in the unit to be byte. So this is needed because the option field is of variable. So why we are specially storing the header length? Because you know there is a 20-byte fixed header and a 40-byte option. So together the TCP header could be of 20 to 60 byte in size. So it's a variable size, right? We don't know what it is. So we are supposed to maintain the head length field, and I given more explanation about this field when we discussed IP. All those things are applicable here also, so just watch that. Now the window size field, I already told you, it is for handling the flow control, right? The flow control in TCP is handled using the variable size sliding window protocol. The window size field tells how many bytes may be sent starting from the last byte, the byte acknowledged. So some acknowledged number will be given, right? Say ACK. So from ACK, the sender is supposed to send ACK some number to ACK plus the window size communicated by the other party minus 1. So it's something like that. Say A is trying to send something to B, and at the so we are focusing on B. This is a buffer of B, say of 1000 byte. Say for the time being, A communicated some 100 bytes, so 100 byte is filled in the buffer. So what is the remaining capacity? 900 bytes. So the window size field will be containing this value 900. So in the reply communication to B, and again A side also there is buffer and all, but we are focusing this buffer only, and to this reply message it will communicate this 900 byte to be the window size. And also some acknowledgement number. Acknowledgement number is so this 100 is the 100 bytes being sent by A to B, and suppose the the sequence number of it is say starting from 500, right? So that at the receiver side it received sequence numbers from 500 to 599 because of 100 bytes, right? So as it is starting from 500, the sequence numbers are ranging from 500 to 599. So what is the next expected sequence number? It is 600, right? So that is the acknowledgement number. So hope you get the idea. So at the reply communication, this acknowledgement number will be given a value 600. What does it mean to A? So B is telling to A that the next sequence number I am expecting is 600, because I already received a sequence number, say 500 to 599. The sequence number of the first byte, let it be 500. I'm just taking an example only, and the size of the message be 100 byte. In that case, the receiver received sequence numbers, say from 500 to 599. So the last received sequence number is 599 plus 1, that is 600, will be the next expected sequence number. So typically that is what is the value we are keeping as the acknowledgement number. Hope that concept is clear. Now as soon as this kind of a message is reaching back A will understand that B is waiting for sequence number 600 onwards, and the buffer of B can contain maximum 900 byte. So A can send sequence numbers, say from 600 to some 600 plus 900 minus 1, because it is starting from 600. So that reason only. So that is why it is written like that. The acknowledgement number is actually the 600 in this example. Acknowledgement number to acknowledgement number plus the window size minus 1. So that much data the A can communicate to B. So a window size of 0 is also legal. It means once the B's buffer is completely filled, B will be communicating back with the window size as 0. I don't have space, please don't send me anything, something like that. It's legal, and it says that the bytes up to and including acknowledgement minus 1 have been fully received, but the receiver would like no more data for the moment. And after some time the receiver will gradually take the data and some space may be freed up, right? And that time the receiver may communicate back. So the permission to send further packets may be granted by the receiver later by sending some segment with the same acknowledgement number but a non-zero value for the window size. So window size is 0 means the receiver is busy, its buffer is full, but gradually from the buffer the receiver will be taking the data, right? As soon as it is taking data, after some time when some free space is coming, it will be communicating back with a message, and that time the acknowledgement number, everything is same, so it is a continuation of the last communication, but window size will be. So here also many things are there, like if one byte is freed up, if whether the receiver is supposed to send a reply back or not. If one byte is freed up, if the B is communicating that to A, what A will try to send? A will try to send 1 byte of data, and that time to send that 1 byte of data, it has to add 20 byte minimum TCP header, 20 byte minimum IP header, and 20 byte around minimum Ethernet data link layer header. So altogether some 61 byte. So that is something what I explained previously as silly window syndrome. So that should not be the case. So there are many optimizations we are doing, how these things are handled, and so all those things I am giving you, and just if you are more curious about all those things, you please read, you will understand from the textbook. So minimum you can understand. So this is the role of window size field. And now checksum and the urgent pointer. Urgent pointer is something I already explained you. Checksum is same as what we discussed in our UDP. UDP header is having the similar checksum. The same procedure you please go through, you will understand. So I am not spending much time. Even IP header also checksum, the method we discussed, but the IP checksum is exclusively for the IP header only. But here we are providing checksum for the TCP header, the TCP payload, and the a conceptual pseudo IP header also. And how the pseudo IP header is formed, that we see in the UDP checksum explanation. I am not repeating here. The pseudo header contains the 32-bit IP address of the source, destination, the protocol number. For TCP it is 6, for UDP it is 17, and the byte count of the TCP segment. Something, all those things we already seen. And the method of generating the checksum by grouping the data into some 16-bit unit and adding them by one's complement arithmetic and taking the one's complement of the result. That entire procedure we already seen. The same thing is applicable to TCP also. So please watch the video on UDP. You will understand this in more detail. Same thing is applicable here also. That is why I am not spending much time. Urgent pointer, as I already told, it indicates that the byte offset from the current sequence number at which the urgent data are found, right? The example and all we see. The urgent data continues till the end of the segment. This is not used in practice. So from that urgent pointer, it may go up to the end of that particular segment. But in practice, what you can do is you can have two different TCP connection, one for sending the normal data and another for sending the urgent data, so that you can avoid the urgent pointer, urgent flag, all those difficulties. So this is how we are dealing the urgent data in our current scenario. But initially they started thinking like, why don't you make use of the header field, urgent pointer, and those fields were there, but they are not used in our current scenario. And the last thing, the option and the data part. Data part, nothing more to say. Option, they are, what are this? So they provides a way for giving some extra facilities of extra information that is not covered in the regular header, just like the IP header. Some examples where the maximum TCP payload that sender is willing to handle, the sender can communicate with the other party, so that the other party, when he is communicating back, he can keep this in mind, right? So that is one thing. So the maximum size of the segment that a particular underlying network this sender is able to handle is what we call as a maximum segment size. At the time of the handshake, both parties inform each other about their capacity. So typically this option is communicated during the connection establishment phase only, by which each will came to know about their capacity, and minimum of these two will be honored. Like A is saying that I have some 500 byte as a maximum capacity, and B is saying that I have some 300 byte. So together they will fix that 300 bytes, so that both will be happy with that, right? So in that way, so that is one option, and this information is sent in the option field for the SYN packet, because SYN packets are used for connection establishment. So we are supposed to communicate the maximum TCP payload size each other during connection establishment phase only. We don't have to do in the subsequent data transfer phase, because during connection establishment it will be known by both parties and they will adjust accordingly. And window scale option, something I already told you, because that window scale factor, it is 16-bit field, and using 16-bit, what is the maximum window size you can have is 2 power 16 minus 1, right? So that is approximately 64 kilobyte. 2 power 6 is 64, 2 power 10 is kilo, right? And it's a very small buffer size, right? You can go for some bigger value. There is nothing wrong in giving more buffer, maybe megabytes or gigabytes of size. So but we don't have a field enough for that. But initially people thought that the 16-bit is enough, but later on, as this RAM, memory, those things were getting cheaper, this is a very small value. So what we will do is this 16-bit we will extend by adding some 14 more bits. So totally it will be now 16 plus 14, it will be some 30. So using 30 you can have up to 2 power 30 byte, that is around 1 gigabyte of buffer is fine. And if that is the case, if the actual buffer size is greater than 64 kilobyte and it's going up to this 1 GB, whatever it is, if it is greater than 64 kilobyte, this window scale field will be applicable for it, and that time this extra 14 bits will be kept in the option field as is window scale option. So this is to increase the window size. It can be specified by telling the receiver that the window size could be interpreted by, so the normal window size field that which is a 16-bit field, that will be shifted 14 times left, right? And this 14 bits together will add, and that 30-bit will act as the window scale, the total window size. So hope you get that calculation right. 16-bit will be stored in the window scale factor, and it is a more significant bit, so you have to shift it 14 times, and so that some 14 zeros will come over here, and with this 14 bits will be added, and together it will make that 30 bit. So that calculation will be done. So this header option is allows the window size go up to 2 power 30, so something so 2 power 31 gigabyte. So that is the way. So like that there are many other option field, and these two things you can quote as an example, so that is why it's explained here. Now the data field, the actual payload, and this can be of variable size, and TCP knows its size by looking at the IP header total length field by subtracting the TCP header size and IP header size from the IP total length. So if you look at the TCP header, we have only TCP header length field. Header length field is there, but there is no field storing the variable data size. So hope you remember. So just see here. Here we have a field where the header length is stored, but there is no field that stored the size of the data, and this data is of variable size, right? So now you may be confused, like how the receiver will be understanding how long it has to read for a particular segment, or what is the size of the data part, right? But it is not there. So how it is TCP is handling it is like, it will be asking the layer below it, so they can communicate each other, right? So it will ask the layer below it, that is the network layer, and if you are using the IP protocol, the IP protocol header you already seen, and there we have a total length field, right? So please remember these things, or look at the IP header, something we already discussed. Total length field, with that it's a 16-bit field with which it will get the total length of the particular IP packet. The total length of the IP packet will be obtained, say some X byte, right? So once it get the total length of the IP packet, you know, the IP packet will be containing an IP header. Also, so from this you will get the so typically, you know, when the TCP segment is coming, so let it be the TCP segment, and to this TCP segment we actually add the IP header, right? So this is the IP header, and this TCP segment and IP header together makes the IP packet, right? So this IP packet's total size we know from the total length field, and from that you subtract the IP header length, that also we know. Now you will get the size of the TCP segment, right? So once you get the size of the TCP segment, from that you can subtract size of the TCP header, and that will give you size of the TCP payload. Is that calculation clear? Let me tell you one more time if it is confused. So from the transport layer at the center side, it will be having the TCP segment, right? So this is our TCP segment, and TCP segment means it is containing the TCP header and payload, and that will be given to the network layer. And at the network layer, if you are using the IP protocol, the IP will append its header. So this is the IP header, and together it form the IP packet. And now we know the total size of this IP packet by looking at the total length field. So let it be some X byte. Now IP header length also we know by looking at the IP header length field in the IP header. These two things it can communicate with the layer below it, or the lower layer will be taking this total length field minus this IP header length field some Y byte. So this value may be communicated to the transport layer, and as soon as the transport layer is getting this X minus Y, what does it mean? The total length of the IP packet minus this header length. So we got, so this is actually the value, that is X minus Y, right? Now from this X minus Y, what you can do, you can further subtract an Z, and what is that Z? Z is the TCP header, and that will give you the size of the data field. So this data field size will be now X minus Y minus Z, that is the total size of the IP packet minus the IP header size minus the TCP header size. And total size of the IP packet and header size, or this value, the TCP will be asking to the layer below it, and he will be communicating back. So we don't have to store this value explicitly. So that is how the computation is done. So that is why it is written like this. This data field is variable size, and TCP know its size by looking at the IP header header length as well as total length. So by subtracting the TCP header and IP header from the IP total length field, it will be knowing what is the size of the data, even though it is variable. So this is how it is handled. Hope it is clear. So with this we are at the end of the discussion. That is in the previous part we seen this port number concept in detail, and also the sequence number, acknowledgement number. So here we discussed all these 6 flags, and these fields are reserved of course, and the header length field, the window size field, the checksum field, and the urgent pointer options also. So this completes the explanation of all fields of the IP header. Thanks for watching.